To everyone in the sleepy town of Millridge, Darren Hale was the dream son-in-law. Charming, educated, soft-spoken, and well-groomed, he was the kind of man every parent hoped their daughter would marry. Her story of recovery, faith, and strength had inspired many. Her marriage to Darren had seemed like the perfect reward for her perseverance. At 35, he was a financial consultant with an impeccable record, married to Rachel Martin, the beloved daughter of former town mayor, Harold Martin. Rachel had been the town's golden girl, a youth choir leader, small business owner, and a survivor of a near-fatal car crash 5 years earlier. But appearances, as Millridge would learn, can be deadly. I found her like that when I came down from the shower. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when a distressed Darren called 911. My wife's not breathing. There's blood. Please, send someone, please hurry. When paramedics arrived at the Hale residence, they found Rachel slumped over the kitchen island, a bloodied cast-iron skillet beside her. Her skull had been fractured, and her pulse was faint. She died 2 hours later at Millridge General Hospital. Darren's account was simple, almost too clean. She must have slipped, hit her head. Detectives took notes, but something in their eyes lingered, an unspoken doubt. The medical examiner's report was the first crack in Darren's story. Like how she felt watched even in her own home. Or how Darren would track her phone. She thought it was protective. I thought it was creepy. Rachel's injuries didn't align with a simple fall. The force behind the blow suggested a deliberate swing, and there were 2 impact points, not 1. Even more damning, defensive bruises on her arms and broken fingernails suggested she had tried to shield herself. Rachel hadn't fallen. She had fought. He insisted, there's no way I'd ever hurt her. We were planning a vacation next month. We were fine. We were in love. Darren's voice, however, remained calm during interviews. She had removed Darren as her primary beneficiary and replaced him with her sister and a local women's shelter. But love wasn't the same behind closed doors. And secrets never stay buried. Suddenly, the slip and fall narrative was crumbling. Darren is not who he pretends to be. Entry dated 2 months before her death. Rachel's sister, Emily, was the first to hint at trouble. She told me things that didn't make sense at first. Neighbors, too, began whispering. They recalled arguments at night, shadows pacing by the window, loud crashes followed by eerie silence. But Darren had always smiled in public, kissed Rachel's forehead in church, sent flowers to her boutique. A mask. A well-crafted one. And when Rachel began to break free, he couldn't stand the thought of losing her. Then came the biggest twist. Rachel had been planning to leave. While combing through Rachel's belongings, Emily discovered a flash drive, labeled simply, insurance. On it were copies of emails, journal entries, even photos of bruises. If anything happens to me, don't believe it was an accident. On the morning of Rachel's death, she noticed it on the drying rack again, completely out of place. But the clincher was a scanned document, a new will Rachel had quietly drafted. A financial motive. A controlling spouse. A trail of digital and physical abuse. Now I know. 6 weeks after Rachel's funeral, Darren Hale was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, with the enhancement of domestic violence. During his arraignment, his lawyer clung to a singular phrase: there may have been a tragic accident, but it was not with cruelty. The phrase, not with cruelty, would echo throughout the trial, Darren's alleged defense of a sudden, unintended act rather than a calculated murder. But prosecutors weren't buying it. They painted Darren as a manipulator, a man who used charm as a weapon, control as his language, and so, he killed her. A surprise witness emerged, Lucinda Ramos, the Hale's part-time housekeeper. Lucinda, nervous on the stand, admitted she'd once overheard Darren yelling at Rachel, "You're nothing without me. Try leaving, and see what happens." She hadn't told anyone before, fearing she'd lose her job or worse. Darren didn't just steal her life, he silenced a light in this town. But her voice, through her journals and her courage, brought him down. But that wasn't all. Lucinda had seen the skillet, the same one used in the attack, in the dishwasher a week before the incident. Why would it be out again? The prosecutor asked. Sometimes, they wear suits and offer flowers. I thought maybe it had been used, Lucinda said softly. Darren's defense finally crumbled when forensic techs analyzed his phone. Despite claiming to have discovered Rachel after the incident, his device had recorded a 45-minute silence followed by several deleted calls before he dialed 911. Recovered messages between Darren and a friend revealed his increasing paranoia. She's pulling away. She's hiding money. She's talking to someone behind my back. Prosecutors used those messages to show intent, a mind unraveling under the fear of abandonment. Darren's polished image? Tarnished. The phrase, "not with cruelty?" Now seen as a twisted denial of the cruelty he inflicted long before the fatal blow. The jury deliberated for just under 6 hours. Darren Hale was found guilty of second-degree murder with the domestic violence enhancement. He was sentenced to 35 years to life. In court, Emily Martin read a tearful victim impact statement. "My sister loved deeply, forgave easily, and trusted the wrong person." Rachel's boutique, Grace and Bloom, now operates as a non-profit outreach center for abused women, run by Emily and local volunteers. Her legacy didn't end in tragedy. It ignited change. The case of Darren Hale reminded the town of Millridge, and viewers across the country, that monsters don't always wear masks. Sometimes, they say, not with cruelty, while hiding years of it behind a smile. But the truth? The truth leaves traces. And in Rachel's case, her voice lived on to ensure that cruelty was not denied, but judged.